So we're joined today on Highland League Weekly by Formartine United defender Stuart Smith. He's the latest person to be giving us his Fantasy 5. So start us off, Stuart, with a team of guys you have played with. Run us through them and why you picked them.
Okay, no worries. So in goals, I've gone with Kevin Main. Mains are just a really reliable goalkeeper, good shot stopper. I could probably count on one hand the amount of mistakes he made during the time I played with him at Formartine. So just a real calming influence on his back four as well. So yeah, we'll go with Mains there between the sticks. In defence, I'm going to go with Craig McEwen. So Craig, I was played with Craig over a couple of spells at Formartine. It was Pelly that signed him after he had his good season with that Dundee team that managed to stay up despite their big points deduction. Just a really good defender, Craig, aggressive. Nobody ever really got the better of Craig, or not too many lads that I can remember. A good technical player as well, good in the ball, could pick out a pass, so a fairly straightforward pick at the back.
He was never shy of telling you what he thought either, Craig?
Craig, no, absolutely, aye. He had a Glaswegian accent as well for a boy that came from Tarbis, which was quite interesting. But no, he was never short on opinion or two, and he's still the same now. So that. In midfield, I've gone with first pick would be Graham Rodger. Fairly straightforward pick. I think in the time he's been at Formartine, he's barely missed a game. His stats must be quite frightening. Good box to box midfielder, goal scorer, tough as nails. Just a pretty straightforward pick. The next pick in midfield was a wee bit more difficult. I considered a couple of lads that I played with in Pelly's first team that went quite close to winning the league. The likes of Kevin Webster, Mark Smith, better known as Rusty. They were two lads that spring to mind. But I narrowed it down to probably between two current Highland League managers, Paul Lawson and Stuart Anderson, who's obviously our manager at Formartine just now. Paul, firstly, was just a tremendous player. His vision and range of passing was just brilliant. You didn't really see that too often in the Highland League. But I'll probably go with Ando, give him a nod.
He is your current gaffer, I suppose you've got to HUD in.
This is it. I'll probably get a fine for the lads at Formartine for picking the manager, but you kind of you need to do what you've got to do to try and get a game on a Saturday. So I played with Ando for probably the best part of 16, 17 years. Played with him on my debut at Peterhead doing Ayr United, so I know what he's all about. Just a good all-round football player. Probably one of the most streetwise players I've played with in my career, just in terms of how he controls a game. He's quite I'm not sure how to describe it as well. Like, unless you've played with him or played against him, you wouldn't realise he's got a bit about him in terms of leaving the boot in and kind of nastier side of the game. So he was a good lad to have in the team. And then up front, I've gone with Cammy Keith. Cammy's just a goal scoring machine, really. Probably a better player than a lot of folk give him credit for as well if you take his goals out of it. But I always think about Cammy as a defender. When you're watching your centre forward running through on goals, you've kind of got a feeling as to whether or no they're going to score. And with Cammy, you just knew that he was going to hit the back of the net. Just a lethal finisher. So again, pretty straightforward pick up top.
Very good team you've picked there, Stuart, understandably, given the time you've been at Formartine, with quite a strong Formartine tinge to it. But in terms of the team of guys you've played against, run us through them.
Aye, okay. So for the team of lads that I've played against, I've kind of gone with guys that I've played against for a number of years now. I was saying before we started that there was some really good players that likes Bucky and Brechin just now, and obviously the Cove team that managed to get promotion, but only played against those lads for a couple of seasons. So as I say, I've tried to select lads that have been on the scene for around about the same kind of time as me. So first up, I've gone with Joe Mallon for Brora in goals. Just never really remember him having a bad game against us. Big presence for a goalkeeper, and I think he was in goals when they had their really mean defence when they had their title successes a few years back now. So we'll go with Joe in goals.
Popular pick, Joe, I have to say, but who have you got in front of him?
So in front of Joe, I've gone with Willie West for the Broch. I think he's been on the go for forever and a day now, Willie. Really versatile player, obviously plays at the back these days, but I think his numbers for the Broch speak for themselves in terms of his appearances, even the goals and that he scored, and he probably epitomises everything that was good about the Broch side that won the league a couple of years ago. So we'll get Willie in there. And then in the middle, I've gone with another kind of Highland League stalwart in Hamish Monroe at Buckie. I was fortunate to play with Squish actually for a couple of years at Formartine. I think it was Pelly that signed him. He played in the midfield back then and was just a really good Highland League player, strong, physical, could nick a goal here and there. I think he's won the league maybe 3 or 4 times. And even now, when you've seen Buckie down at Parkhead not that long ago, I thought he was one of the better players in the day. So we'll get him in there. And then next to Squish in the middle, I wanted to get one of the lads for the Wick Academy team that were really good when I first started playing in the Highland League. I think they were in the mix the year that Cove just pipped us. So I've gone with Richard McCaddy. Other lads in that team, I remember Sam Mackay and Davey Allen were good players, but McCaddy in particular was really good. I've had a couple of tough afternoons against him. Just really good technical player, sharp. Was good for a goal as well. I think he maybe won Highland League Player of the Year about that time as well. So he was a really good player, and he's obviously still on the go just now. So he goes in there, and then that leaves me with my striker. So I should probably give my gaffer at work a mention here. That's Jerry O'Driscoll. So only
Go ahead then.
That's it, exactly. Hi, Curry Favour. So I only played probably a couple of times against him in the Highland League, but I know he was obviously a prolific scorer at Huntly, Cove, Keith. So good player. But I'm gonna go with Fig Barber, Scott Barber, should say Fig. I also thought about a couple of other lads that I played with and against, Goldie and Connor Gethins, but knowing how Fig is, he loves this kind of thing, so probably mean merit him to get picked from those boys. So they are good players and good goal scorers in their own right. Fig is just a really effective player, and he's doing good things at the Broch, so we'll get him in there.
Again, you've held in with a lot of boys there, as you say. I'm sure Scott will be delighted with that you've thrown him in. But I mean, 2 cracking sides you've picked, Stuart. A lot of quality across a lot of years in the Highland League here. But the key question in my ask is to finish. Those 2 5-a-side teams play one another. Who wins?
You've got to go with your own team, have you? We'll go with Formartine. It's been a wee while since we've won on a thing, so we'll go with Formartine on this occasion.